Beautiful spring evening here in Mesa, Arizona, as the last two World Series champions will match up in Cactus League play. The Kansas City Royals and the Chicago Cubs. Spring training baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by Canals Auto Park. And welcome to Cubs baseball here on CSN Chicago. Along with Jim DeShays, I'm Len Casper. We are 2 weeks away from opening night in St. Louis. Let's talk about an ex-Cardinal, John Jay, who will probably hit ninth on opening night. He's hitting leadoff tonight.
Yeah, he will share time with Albert Almora Jr. in center field as they look to replace Dexter Fowler out in center field. John Jay, a veteran, he's been around the big leagues for a number of years now. Had a nice day on Wednesday, 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, including a triple. You won't see a whole lot of that from Jay. You know, line drive hitter, singles and doubles. A career 352 on base percentage. Has always worked a high batting average. Hangs in there well against left-handed pitching too. Not a lot of power, not a lot of speed, but a good solid part-time player, and that will be his job. As I mentioned, he and Almora will take over in center field.
Number 5 starter candidate Mike Montgomery will take the ball for the Cubs. It'll be right-hander Ian Kennedy for the Royals, and we expect a huge crowd here at Sloan Park once again tonight as the Cubs host the Kansas City Royals. Coming up next. And welcome back. Baseball under the lights here at Sloan Park, and it looks like we have another sellout crowd as the Cubs take on the Kansas City Royals. And as I mentioned in the open, we are just a fortnight away from opening night, April 2nd in St. Louis. The Cubs and the Cardinals. Cubs come in at 8-10-4 on the spring. The Royals are 11-10-1. Good to see the berms packed. It's hot, and the sun has gone down. Should cool it off a little bit, but it has been, I would say, even unseasonably hot for Phoenix.
Yeah, mid-90s, right? That's a little hotter than it normally is this time of year here. It's what we tend to encounter when we come here during the regular season to play the Diamondbacks. But yeah, I think the players appreciating a night game on a day like today. Instead of baking under that hot sun or under the evening sky, it's not quite as hot. It's a beautiful night to play ball. You got a chance to use the word fortnight. You rarely get a chance to use that. It's either here 2 weeks before opening day or Wimbledon, so we're good there. Now we just need to play ball.
Mike Montgomery will take the field along with his teammates, and I think it's a Sunday deal. They've got some young fans out there waiting to get an autograph from their heroes as well. And let's look in on Ned Yost's starting lineup for the Kansas City Royals. Raul Mondesi in the mix at second base. Mike Moustakas didn't play a whole lot last year due to injury. Lorenzo Cain is in center. Brandon Moss signing a 2-year deal in February. The ex-Cub Jorge Soler will be in right. Cheslor Cuthbert will play first. Christian Cologne's at short. Drew Butera is the catcher. Billy Burns will play left and hit ninth.
And the Cubs defensively on this fine evening set up thusly. John Andrioli, back from Team Italy, will play left tonight. John Jay is in center. Jason Hayward, the perennial Gold Glover, in right. The All-Star infield intact. Bryant Russell, Zobrist Rizzo third to first. Wilson Contreras is the catcher, and as Glenn mentioned, starting this evening, and we'll see Brett Anderson and others as well. But Mike Montgomery, first man out of the chute tonight, and so far he has posted those numbers this spring. 7 innings, he's allowed 11 hits, punched out 8, walked 3. Last year combined with the Cubs and Seattle, he was 4-5 with an ERA below 3.
Well, we've had certain days where we've seen a pitcher per inning. That happened early on before the veteran starters got into the mix. Tonight could be a little different, though, because Brett Anderson's scheduled to work, so he and Montgomery could take this thing into the late innings. Veteran crew, at least 3/4 of it. Brian Gorman back of the plate. Joliet native Mark Carlson, Chris Guccione, and Mike Casiopo are on the bases.
Say that backwards, Harry. Yeah, I would think shooting for 60 to 75 pitches in that range for Montgomery, 4 innings perhaps. Likewise for Anderson. Carl Edwards Jr. also slated to pitch tonight.
You see Mondesi's had a big spring. Switch batter batting right-handed, and he takes low to get us started for ball 1. He is only 21.
Well, son of longtime big leaguer Raul Mondesi, who won a Rookie of the Year award with the Dodgers back in the early mid-90s.
You see the patch on the right chest, ace 30, in memory of Yordano Ventura. Ground ball on a broken bat. Russell just gets him. Hopefully Mondesi's all right as he tripped over first base.
I think his pride may be hurt, but other than that, he's fine. A little face plant, but you got to love the effort selling out. This is the difference between a veteran guy who knows he's got a spot on the club and a guy who's trying to make a ball club, right? This sprint down the first base line. So no time for hesitation with Mondesi. He can really scoot, but he's out.
Now Mike Moustakas, the third baseman, and I think he just saw, a little shard from the broken bat of Mondesi. Career low 27 games last year due to fractured thumb and then a torn ACL, and a towering blast way out of here to right. And it's 1-0 Kansas City.
So the Royals fans here are moosing and the Cub fans are booing that swing of the bat by Moustakas. Royals certainly welcome him back to the lineup and hope he can remain healthy all summer long.
I would say zero doubt about that one off the bat. High strike on Lorenzo Cain. So Moustakas, Eric Hosmer, Cain, Alcides Escobar, they're all due to be free agents after the season. So the proverbial window, that championship window, this is a rather important year in that regard, I think, for the Royals, as Cain lines out to Hayward. They finished 81-81 last year. after back-to-back trips to the World Series, and they won it in 2015. Now Brandon Moss. Breaking ball strike.
Montgomery has an outstanding curveball. He's got good life on his fastball. He'll go mid-90s. There's a cutter and a changeup. The best pitches are the fastball and the curveball combination. I think he gets into a little bit of trouble when he leans too heavily on that cutter.
One and two. He's ahead of Moss. And he got him on the curveball. Moustakas with a one-out home run. It's the Royals 1 and the Cubs coming up from Mesa. Cubs have been hitting the ball out of the ballpark 30 so far, second most in the Cactus League. Jay, Bryant, and Rizzo at the top. Zobrist, Russell, who's cranked 4 of them already, and Contreras, who's had a great spring in the middle. Hayward batting 7th. The pitcher is batting tonight for the first time this spring and hitting 8th at bat. John Andrioli batting 9th.
Royals in the field. You see Billy Burns in left, Kane, the center fielder. He was an all-star a couple of years back. Soler in right. Moustakas, Colon, Mondesi, Cuthbert third to first, and Drew Butera do the catching tonight. 60 feet 6 inches away. It's the veteran right-hander Ian Kennedy. A couple of starts this spring. So far, so good. 11-11 last year with a .368 earned run average. His first season in a Royal uniform.
Fastball strike on John Jay. Talked about John in the open. He'll start the year in a platoon in center with Albert Almora Jr. On occasion may move to left, as we've seen Kyle Schwarber play a couple of games recently in right, depending on the ballpark. Joe may have Schwarber in right, Hayward in center, and then Jay or Almora in left. Ooh. Kennedy thought he had him, and he might have. 1-2.
Trying to shave the outside corner with a fastball. Brian Gorman, the home plate umpire, thought it was a wee bit outside.
And that is a foul tip. Strike 3.
I don't see that every day.
Yeah, hit the glove, and Butera then able to hang on. I believe the rule is if it goes glove to glove just like that, that's a foul tip.
I believe you are correct, sir.
And I don't know if I've ever seen it quite like that. But since it's spring training, I'm not going to make you get the rule book out. Up the middle, backhanded play, Mondesi, but no play. Bryant's got a hit.
A pretty play by Mondesi, but as we have said time and again about Chris Bryant, not just a slugger, plays the whole game, and he runs well. Now takes a little steam out of this one, creates a little bit of a tricky hop out there for Mondesi, but it's a knock for Bryant. Kennedy's a good one. Fastball, curve, slider, change. Likes to work up in the zone with a four-seam fastball. He's an 86 game winner in his career with a lifetime ERA of 3.94.
Looks like he'll probably slot in number 2 in their rotation behind Danny Duffy. Strike on Rizzo. Anthony homered yesterday against Milwaukee. And the Cubs 13-7 loss.
Change up.
And a good one. This was yesterday off a lefty, Brent Suter, in the first inning.
Good look, and he squares this one up.
Could be 2. Is 2. I think it went 5-6-3, and the Cubs done in the first.
Welcome back. We've played one. The Royals have one. The Cubs don't have any. Chicago Cubs spring training baseball is always live with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball.
Should have around 15,000 in the ballpark tonight. And a nice hand for former Cub Jorge Soler. Acquired by the Royals in December for Wade Davis. Slow start to the spring. And he takes a strike. Montgomery originally came up through the Royals chain.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Royals in 2008, the 36th overall pick that year, sandwich pick after the first round.
Eventually got dealt to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay to Seattle. Seattle to the Cubs. Good changeup, 1-2. That's the pitch I would think, JD, as a starter, right? We would see more than we saw last year in relief. Called strike 3, freezes him on a fastball.
Yeah, that one looked like it was a little backdoor cutter almost to catch Soler looking. But yeah, I agree. I think if Mike stays in the rotation, you'll see that change up a little bit more out of the pen. He's probably going to be, fastball, curveball, high percentage of the time. And I emphasized that curveball last inning, but his changeup is a good weapon as well.
Called strike on Chesler Cuthbert. Led all American League rookies with a .274 average last year. Still only 24. And he held.
Yeah, he hit 12 home runs. He got his opportunity when Moustakas went down.
Two and one. The Royals did something before the game that I had not seen in maybe 2 or 3 years. That is fouled and out of play. They took batting practice at the road site. You never see that anymore in the Cactus League. Teams usually hit at their own park and then bus over maybe an hour before the ball game. Nice to catch up with their hitting coach and former Cubs manager Dale Swain. 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3.
Uncle Charlie, hello. Good curveball, outstanding curveball from Montgomery. Is he bullish on this year's Kansas City Ball Club?
We didn't talk a lot of baseball, as tends to be the case around the batting cage. Just kind of catching up and, hey, how's life? Talked about the weather. Christian Colon takes low.
Remember Dale, when he was managing, he always brought a football with him everywhere he went in his office. So when you go in to meet with him or talk to him in his office, he was always flipping that football up in the air.
Yeah.
He was an outstanding quarterback in high school.
Tapper foul by Colon. In the mix at second base. They've got a few options over there. Strike call. Montgomery looks sharp early. Working quickly. And Colon just got out of the way. John Lackey, after 5 innings against Team Japan yesterday, made a comment that you can relate to. Veteran starting pitcher, he said, it doesn't really matter who the batters are for me right now in terms of what John wants to work on. It's a little different, though, for a guy like Mike Montgomery, right? The results setting up guys matters a little bit more. That was a good inning.
That was a great inning. Man.
He just struck out the side. 1-0 Kansas City in the second. Instant mobile ticketing offer. The MLB.com Ballpark app is your free, secure, and convenient way to instantly access Cubs tickets via your mobile phone. Download the app at the App Store or Google Play and begin using Ballpark today. For more info, visit Cubs.com/ballpark app. Yes, your mobile device where you can get your tickets. Ben Zobrist, World Series champion each of the last 2 years. Royals, Cubs. So I didn't want to leave you hanging there on my question, but you know, Ian Kennedy might fall more into the John Lackey mindset, but you're in a battle for a starting spot. Your mindset might change just a little bit. You're not just going to quote work on stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I think Lackey's point was probably I just want to make sure I get the required number of pitches in, get my work in, build arm strength. Outcomes don't matter a whole lot. And for a guy like Montgomery, outcomes matter a little bit more, not a whole lot, but it's still just the ability to show off what you can do. Basically, everybody knows what he's capable of doing, but you just want to go out and just make sure you put your best foot forward.
Kane's got it. Now Addison Russell, the shortstop.
I think everybody is different, pitchers in terms of their approach to spring training. My recollection was that once I got out there, I just still wanted to get guys out. I didn't want to get knocked around. So I just tended to pitch the way I always pitched. I tried to use my breaking stuff. I know other guys. I remember a spring training game where Nolan Ryan went out there and just spun one curveball after another just to try to get the feel of it. And you hear guys, talking today about I'm going to throw 90% fastballs. I'm just trying to build arm strength. I found that once I got out there into a competitive environment, it was hard to do anything but try to get hitters out.
Well, nobody wants to give up runs. Swing and a miss. Let me ask you this. Do guys lie sometimes? And here's my theory. I'm not sure how close attention some of the media people pay to the game, especially when it gets late and some kids are in there. I've read game stories where a pitcher says, yeah, I threw nothing but fastballs today, and I've called the game and I remember he threw like 3 breaking balls. So it's like when you say I threw nothing but, it's almost like, what's the line today without getting political? Take him seriously, not literally.
Yeah.
And I go, wait a minute. No, I saw 72 on the gun.
Yeah, there's a lot of narratives in spring training that you hear year after year in terms of pitchers and the way they work hitters. Hitters changing their approach at the plate. And then as you watch, you go, that kind of looks the same.
Right. That's outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now there are exceptions, and one of them is on deck right now. Jason Hayward has clearly made a pretty significant change in his swing. Well, you watch Ian Kennedy and you watch Mike Montgomery here tonight, and these are just 2 pitchers trying to get people out. They're not working on things. They're just pitching.
Fouled away. Contreras has really been locked in at the plate. Both catchers throwing well, Contreras and Montero. Popped him up. Mondesi's got it. 2 in the books. Royals lead on a first inning homer from Moustakas.
Now
Spring training gives us a chance to talk to the Cubs coaches from the dugout. Gary Jones, the Cubs third base coach, is with us. Jonesy, nice to talk to you. Hope you had a great winter. It was a short winter, and that's the way everybody likes it.
Absolutely. I mean, it was short, but it was well worth it, you know.
When you look back at October, what are the moments that stand out to you the most?
Well, I think just, being down 3-1 and, winning that game in Chicago to make it 3-2 and heading to Cleveland. And so at that point, I think we just, as a team, as a group, felt like, we were back in the series.
Royals batting here in the third. Drew Butera will lead it off.
Jonesy, you work with the infielders. Javi Baez is an interesting case, and I want to ask you about him. After we watch Russell make this play. And my question is this. You're an old school guy, been around a long time, an instructor. The fundamentals of the game. Javi does some things out there that I'm sure make you go, man, I wish he didn't do it that way. But at the same time, the kid makes all the plays, right? So how does that? What's that dynamic?
Well, I think the thing that gets lost with Javi is, he is fundamentally sound, and he's a very instinctive player. And I think, you don't want to take those instinctive plays away from him. So I just think, he's a very good player. He has fun when he plays. But, when you have a guy like that, you still want him to use his instincts. And, the instinctiveness, I think, is what makes him so special.
Billy Burns just got hit by a pitch. While we're on that topic, Ian Happ, how about his work at second base?
Yeah. I mean, Ian's coming along really well. I mean, I remember when he got drafted, what was it, about 3 years ago, and he came to Wrigley, and, he was taking ground balls, and, he was a little rough, and now he's smoothed out a little bit, and he's made a lot of progress. So, if he can continue to make that same progress, he's going to be fine.
How about the rule change now requiring base coaches to abide by the chalk lines a little bit more? I know you've been trying to kind of tell yourself in spring training to get ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment to me. For me, I like to really get down the line to begin with runners at second base especially. So I'm just kind of trying to work my way through it, trying to find some comfortability as far as where I can start and, how far I can get down the line to begin with. Because, once the ball is batted, they said that, you can get down the line as far as you want, as long as you don't interfere with the play.
We should tell viewers who may not be familiar, that's Mike Jerschele at third. He's fine. The third base coach can't be closer to home plate than that inside short line. The first base coach has to watch. He's got to be behind the long line parallel to the baseline. So just a little subtle thing to watch for this year. There's Rusty Kuntz over at first. On to see the batter. 2 strikes on him. And Montgomery will fire to first.
How about Chris Bryant, Jonesy, in terms of his footwork and the improvements he's made since coming to the big leagues?
Well, I mean, Chris has worked very hard. I mean, you know, being a tall guy, big guy, lanky guy, sometimes it's very difficult for guys to get down in that athletic position. They have to work a little harder. But Chris has worked very hard. I mean, you know, he's improved his range laterally. He's improved on slow rollers. And, you know, he's got a very nice routine, daily routine that he follows and gets himself ready to play every day. So he's playing very well.
Burns not running, and that is a gapper. Burns on his way to third as Jay will fire it back in. So first and third. Jonesy, we talk a lot in the coach's room about base running, and what is kind of the general theme in spring training? Is it always to try to take the extra base, be as aggressive as possible, with the idea that you try to build in those instincts once the season starts?
Yeah, I think, you know, early on in the spring, we were just wanting to make sure we didn't get anybody injured with the legs, groins, hamstrings, that type of thing. So we were kind of just being a little bit cautious. But now, you know, we got a couple of weeks left. I think the guys are starting to kind of get going a little bit. And the last 2 or 3 days, the guys have been a little bit more aggressive on the bases. And so I think you're seeing them kind of get revved up a little bit.
As a third base coach, I mean, you talked about Javi Baez and his instincts. You have to trust your instincts out there as well. But is there a general rule of thumb you go by in terms of ascend or not ascend?
Well, I mean, you know, I think each situation is a little bit different. But, you know, I generally try to kind of watch the fielder and watch what the base runners as the base runners approaching third base. And as a guideline, as a general guideline, I try to use it. If the fielder has the ball before the runner gets to third base, I would probably hold him up, unless it's just you know, some circumstances that dictates different. You know, maybe like 2 outs, you would send a guy, knowing the pitcher's up next, that type of thing. So, but as a general rule, I try to hopefully go on that fielder having the ball and to see what the runner is.
So a sac fly for Moustakas, and a nice play by Andreoli. That's the other thing, is guys in the outfield, they tend to want to throw everybody out at the plate even when they have no chance, and that allows back runners to move up a base, which can then kind of blow up an inning, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think you know, guys, outfielders, I mean, you know, the throw has to be right on. So, you know, there are times when you absolutely take chances simply because you know, the throw has got to be almost be a perfect throw to, you know, nail that runner. So, you know, I just always like to tell the players, to tell the guys to make me stop you at third base, put the pressure on me, make me stop you, and that way, you know, I can get a better read, and the guy is anticipating scoring.
1-0 on Kane, and he pops it up. Let's see if Rizzo has a play. Contreras is over there, and it's off the dugout. Last thing for you, Jonesy. Okay. What as you kind of look at the landscape here, nucleus is the same, couple of additions. What's the key here in 2017 as you see it?
I think it's just, you know, the health of the players, keeping the guys healthy, and you know, going out. I mean, we have such a young group that you know, I think these guys are still hungry. You know, they're not complacent. They haven't been complacent this spring. So I just think if we can stay healthy, I think we'll be in good shape.
Jonesy, always appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jonesy.
All right.
That's Gary Jones, the Cubs third base coach. This staff has remained completely intact the last 2 off seasons, and I'd say that's pretty rare, JD. Usually have changes.
Yeah,
guys leave. Guys aren't welcomed back. Runner goes. That pitch misses low and in. So Mondesi steals second.
Yeah, well, yeah, 2 things, right? When you do a lot of winning, good things have happened, so guys tend to keep their jobs. But sometimes your staff gets poached on a winning club too. People come looking for coaches who have been with a successful team. This group has stayed together, done an excellent job.
Russell Can't get him.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a funky in between hop. The ball's hit off the end of the bat, takes a little bit of the steam off of it. You see Addy decides to lay back and try to play it without moving in towards the ball, and that really cost him. That forced him to be in a position where he had to be real clean and real quick turning that ball loose, and obviously the mishandle upset the play.
So he's charged with an error. So hit batter, a single, a sac fly, a stolen base, and an error this inning. And ball one on Moss, who hit just .225 with the Cardinals last year, but also cranked 28 home runs. Curve for a strike.
Throw that headset back on Jonesy and ask him what went wrong there. What happened with the shortstop?
The default answer is always a spring training, right?
Spring training. He's one of the best in the business.
Two balls and a strike. Make it 3-1. Soler is on deck.
Moss figures to get the bulk of the at-bats as a designated hitter for the Royals this year. It's a dangerous left-handed bat, no doubt about it.
So they're loaded up. So Soler will get a World Series ring. Last two postseasons as a Cub, a .344 combined batting average. Had that great stretch in the postseason 2 years ago, and here was his last at bat as a Chicago Cub. His last hit, I should say, Game 3 of the World Series.
The injuries have certainly been part of the Soler story. He's lost significant playing time over the last couple of years due to injury. There's a world of potential in there, and obviously the Royals have high hopes for him.
Oh, and 2. Add to their lead. They also leave the bases loaded. 2-0 in the third.
The Cubs offer baseball summer camps presented by ATI Physical Therapy and Ideal Industries. Young sluggers ages 5 to 13 have the chance to suit up in Cubs gear, meet a current Cub player during a VIP Wrigley Field visit, and receive top-notch baseball instruction. Enroll now at any of 8 Chicagoland locations. Visit Cubs.com/kids for more information. That's Cubs.com/kids.
1-0 on Jason Hayward. The pitcher is on deck in the 8th spot. Joe had the pitcher bat 8th quite a bit 2 years ago. And bad luck for Hayward as he hit it right on the button and right to Mondesi.
That one had some exit velocity. Knocks the hands back and whacks that one. Unfortunately, Mondesi well positioned.
So Montgomery, the first Cub pitcher to bat this spring. Should mention a couple of guys with the Royals. They will not pitch tonight, but Jason Hamill and Travis Wood are Kansas City Royals. Oh, 2.
Jason will be part of the rotation. Travis Wood hoping to be. If not, he'll be in the bullpen.
Curve is outside. Well, he got him. Third strikeout early on for Kennedy.
Kennedy, in year 2 of a 5-year deal, he signed with the Royals, $70 million. He's been a Yankee, a Diamondback, a Padre, prior to becoming a Royal.
If you're wondering, that's our home plate microphone rattling around in the distance. Good curve for a strike. Andreoli had the big World Baseball Classic with Team Italy. Hit over 300 with 3 home runs in the first round. So he was a teammate with the guy behind the plate, Drew Butera, and the tag applied by Cuthbert. And the Cubs go 1, 2, 3. After 3, Kansas City 2 and the Cubs nothing. Spring training baseball is presented by Canals Auto Parts. Welcome back to Sloan Park, spring training home of the Cubs. 2 weeks away from the regular season opener. Right-hander Carl Edwards Jr. on in relief of Mike Montgomery.
The right-hander has pitched 4 times this spring, .225 the ERA, 4 innings of work for Carl Edwards Jr. 8 postseason appearances last year. And during that stretch, posted a .284 ERA, really establishing himself as a big part of this Cubs bullpen.
Shallow left. Andreoli retires Cuthbert. Another rule change that we should make note of. Say goodbye to the 15-day disabled list. It's now the 10-day DL. So there's a 7-day concussion DL. The 15 has become the 10, and they still have the 60-day DL. So just shortening it up a little bit. Fastball is low. 2 balls, no strikes. John Jay has a beat on it.
Yeah, when Edwards is right, you're going to see a lot of swings and misses. You'll see lazy fly balls off that elevated fastball. Usually has a little cutting action on it. He's trying to overpower hitters. He's not sinking the ball. He's not looking for ground balls. He's just trying to beat you with this stuff. Has a real good curveball too.
So Butera, the backup to Salvador Perez, and it was a collision involving both of them for different teams in the WBC that caused the knee injury on Perez, who now actually is dealing with an elbow as well. They don't think it's very serious, but that's a little awkward.
Yeah, I think they were calling Butera Tanya Harding, as if he were trying to take out his mate. But the collision was hardly a collision. It was really awkward. It was more of like a stumble. You could tell Butera didn't really want to hit him, and he kind of stumbled into home plate. It was just awkward the way Perez went down.
Up and in. We talked the other day about Javi Baez and Yadier Molina, normally division rivals on the same team in the WBC. You had Adam Jones robbing his Orioles teammate Manny Machado of a home run. Another ball in the air, and let's see if Rizzo can get it. He does. Nice over the shoulder grab. So 3 lazy fly ball outs. And the Royals done in the 4th. Well, when we tell you about a great catch, we better show it to you. And here it is Adam Jones took away a home run from Manny Machado.
Reminds you a little bit of Andrew Jones from years past. Tyler Clippard can't believe what he just saw.
WBC, the Netherlands and Puerto Rico, followed by USA and Japan the following day, and then the championship game will be Wednesday evening.
My bracket's a mess. Just blew up. I had Villanova playing Italy in the final.
One and one on John Jay. Cubs have one hit. That was an infield single by Bryant. That's been it.
Kenley, I don't know. I haven't looked up his spin rate, but he appears to be the kind of pitcher who gets a lot of backspin on his four-seam fastball, a lot of late life riding action, and hitters they're going to be a little late getting there. It's got a little more on it than they anticipate.
Yeah, he gets a lot of strikeouts on that pitch. This is Billy Burns. Now Bryant for the second time.
Yeah, and that's an effective way to pitch in this day and age, because so many hitters are emphasizing trying to launch the ball, trying to get down through the baseball, or a little bit of an uppercut swing that Ted Williams used to preach. And that's tougher to do when a guy's working four-seam fastballs up above the belt.
And a low strike on Bryant. What's your take on that conversation about taking away that low strike and kind of lifting the strike zone a little bit, which has been talked about the last year or so?
Yeah, I would like to see it implemented in the minor leagues. I'm all for trying to do things that increase action in the game, not necessarily run scoring. And I think that's where some fans and some people have it wrong. They keep talking about the commissioner wanting more runs scored. I don't think that's the case, and maybe I'm wrong. It seems to me his emphasis is more on action, putting the ball in play. So if you can create a situation where pitchers are more aggressive and hitters therefore have to be more aggressive, won't have as many deep counts, the ball gets put in play more quickly, more often, ergo more action.
The interesting thing about it, I don't think necessarily if you take away the low strike you call a higher strike, but if you raise the top of the strike zone with the velocity today, I think we'd see more strikeouts. Because it was always you heard the letters, right?
Yeah, you don't get letters.
No. I mean, 98
well,
at the
rule book,
logo.
right, the rule book, I believe, is that the high strike is supposed to be, the top of the strike zone is supposed to be a midpoint between the belt and the armpit, right? So if you take that midpoint, that pitch is almost never called a strike.
No. And Bryant went.
Kennedy sharp with his command here tonight, too. A little fastball off the outside corner. Enough of a swing for Brian Gorman to ring up Chris.
Called strike on Rizzo. Kennedy's best year, 2011, 21-4 with a 288. And as an Arizona Diamondback, 222 innings that year.
Yeah, he finished 4th in the Cy Young Award voting that season.
Foul tip, 1-2. Clayton Kershaw, Roy Halladay, and Cliff Lee all got more votes than Kennedy. That was a tough year for a Cy Young candidate. Swing and a miss. He has been very good tonight. To the 5th, 2-0 Kansas City. Tuesday night on CSN, the Bulls try to pull off a season series sweep against the Raptors. Live from Air Canada Center, coverage begins at 5:30 with Bulls pregame live and streaming on the NBC Sports app. You know, at NBA games when the organ goes dun dun and the crowd says defense.
Yep.
In Toronto, it's with a C.
Sounds different.
It's the only arena in the league they do that.
Sea fence?
No. Here's Brett Anderson. Another 5th starter candidate. By the way, is there a more appropriately named baseball player today than Billy Burns, considering how fast he is?
I'm going to go with no. I'm going to reserve the right to throw somebody else out there if I think of one. Here he goes.
Well, that is a foul ball. Somebody get a radar gun on that throw from Contreras. Yesterday against Milwaukee, he had about a 40-foot throw to Rizzo up along the first base line, and he threw it as hard as he could. I thought Anthony was going to stumble into right field.
Contreras really quick bouncing out from behind home plate, but all for naught. The ball was foul. Burns will keep going here. So this particular matchup really suits Burns, you would think. His speed. Anderson is an extreme ground ball pitcher. We talked earlier about launch angle and how hitters are trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, but that's not Burns' game.
No, not at all.
So he's better off slashing it, trying to chop it on the ground, and using his wheels.
Backhanded stab by Bryant.
hang with him, hit it hard. Balls to the feet, ready to react. The long reach paying off.
Here's Mondesi, who did something no other player had ever done previously. Made his major league debut in a World Series. 20 years old, 2015. Regular season debut was last July. How would that feel? You come up for your major league debut. You might have a teammate go, "Hey man, welcome." He's like, "Yeah, I played in the World Series last year. This is not a big deal."
Yeah, been there, done that.
But thanks. Moustakas has knocked in both runs. It was the homer in the first inning.
He glided into that elevated fastball, pumped it into the Royals bullpen. Royals team dead last in the American League last year in walk rate. That's never been part of their DNA. Actually, high average hitters, good team speed, good defenders. They've had that great bullpen there for a number of years. Kind of had the analytics crowd scratching their heads because they just weren't supposed to win the way they did. They're a 95-win team the year they won the World Series. They were the wild card team the year before when they went to the World Series and lost to the Giants. And all the numbers, all the math preseason, both those years really didn't favor the Royals being that good.
Contreras got nicked. The one thing I would say, though, is the value of team defense. I think that is now pretty pervasive in terms of what the Royals did and the way they set up their bullpen, right?
Right, yeah.
Those were the two big things.
They were kind of outliers in that they went about it a little bit differently.
Golfed into center. Jay back, now in a couple of steps. And Anderson works a perfect fifth. Halfway home, still 2-0 Kansas City.
On the road, guided tours of legendary Wrigley Field are available. Tours may include visits to the press box, clubhouses, dugouts, as well as a chance to actually step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses over 100 years of history. Book your tour at Cubs.com/tours today.
Cubs haven't done much against Ian Kennedy. And Zobrist flied to center in the second. So he was wearing one of those almost like a Fitbit watch / band the other day, and I asked him about it. Are you familiar with this thing that
the one that monitors your sleep?
Yeah, pretty interesting. Kind of tells you maybe just take it a little easy early in the day if you have a game later that day, and just trying to make sure that peak performance time is, during the game. In the right. And he's trying for 2, and he's in.
Second look for Zobrist at Kennedy, and he puts a pretty good whack at this low cut fastball. So there, gets over there in pretty good shape, gets off a good strong throw, but a little bit offline. It was cut. Probably would not have had Zobrist anyway. Good start to the bottom of the 5th. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you know all that these devices track? And
no, I don't.
So they kind of monitor you throughout the day and days and kind of get a sense of your body rhythm,
how much sleep you're getting, all that stuff. And guys today would probably be remiss in not taking advantage of all the technology available. But you think about some of the teammates you used to have, if asked to wear such device, what they would have said. I'll put this on after I smoke a couple of heaters.
And there also would have been a level of paranoia, like, who else is getting this information?
Right.
I don't want Big Brother watching out over me, and I don't want the manager coming and say, hey, pal, you haven't been getting your rest at night.
But these days, no stone is left unturned in terms of nutrition. And the Cubs have been at the forefront of that for a while. Toward third, and Moustakas doesn't really have a play. Infield hit for Russell. Cubs now have him at the corners with nobody out.
Yeah, he had 2 options, and neither one of them were good. Trying to make a acrobatic play on Russell, or he could hope to beat Zobrist to the bag and apply a tag. I don't think he was going to have success if he tried plan A anyway. So, first and third for Contreras.
So 30-some years ago, when you got to the big leagues, I mean, what was team policy? You were with the Yankees, then the Astros. What was kind of the general major league team policy in terms of your nutrition? Did they just tell you, hey, eat a salad every once in a while? Or,
no, there was none. Our philosophy was on the day games, if you left any donuts in the clubhouse in the dining room, you were going to lose. So you had to eat all the donuts, drink the coffee. Our spring training spread consisted of hard-boiled eggs, maybe soup.
0-2 on Contreras.
And post-game, a lot of times, when I first came over to New York, I remember the post-game spread was a bag of greasy burgers from a fast food place. Yeah, that world has changed dramatically. What's available to these guys now with a nutritionist, and they're getting meals sent to them on the road.
One and two.
No, it was more reactive then. I mean, I remember a couple guys got sent away to a camp in the offseason to try to lose weight, but there was no conversation really that I recall about diet.
Well, it was probably more truly perform or you're not here. I don't care what you eat.
Right. Yeah. And there was 2 different worlds, right? Because pitchers could tend to carry a little more weight and be fine. We all have our favorite big burly pitchers that we recall and still in the game today. And a lot of the position players, they had a hard time keeping weight on over the course of a long baseball season. For them, it was more about taking in more calories.
Two balls, two strikes. Best chance for the Cubs so far. Royals will give up a run to turn 2 if they can. And Kennedy with a big first out.
Crafty veteran pitcher needed a strikeout, threw a strike-the-ball breaking pitch, and got the chase from Contreras.
We've talked about this before, but getting in shape in spring training is no longer an option. You are expected to already have done all of that work.
Yeah, the physical shape in terms of building up endurance and conditioning. You still have to get into baseball shape.
Right. Ground ball. And Kennedy gets out of it. First and third, nobody out. He strikes out Contreras, gets the double play ball off the bat of Hayward, and it's still 2-0 Royals. Nothing. Kansas City with the lead, and I would ask you to analyze, but it's spring training. But you got a baseball in your hand. Give us grips on your pitches. What do you got? Four-seam fastball? What was your grip?
Four-seam fastball there.
Okay.
Slurvey slider there.
All right.
Circle change here. That's about all I had.
Who taught you those grips? Anybody?
Four-seam fastball, no. The slider, I never had a really good breaking ball. I was always trying to experiment with the come up.
You don't want to indict anyone?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember. I guess the one pitch that would have been introduced to me at some point would have been the circle change. I don't know if I actually, if it was a pitching coach or I just read about it somewhere.
Two and one on Lorenzo Cain. Kind of like riding a bike, though, right? I mean, you haven't thrown a changeup in how many years, and you just
I
natural.
I think the ball just kind of finds its way.
Leadoff walk.
And that's the thing too. A lot of times, young kids will ask, "How do you throw a curveball? How do you throw a changeup?" And really, I think the best advice I could give is just play with all kinds of different grips. There is no one way. I remember talking to Bert Blyleven, who had one of the great curveballs ever. This was a few years ago, and this can be a double play, I think.
Oh, nice play, Russell. Just couldn't get anything on the relay throw as Zobrist had Kane bearing down on him.
Yeah, and Addison had to back up a little bit to handle that ball, and then the toss had a little air under it, so those factors combined made it very difficult to turn a double play. But that was a pretty slick pick by Addison Russell. Anyway, I was talking to Bert Blyleven, and I was asking him, I said, well, how did you throw your curveball? And he said, I just took my four-seam fastball grip, and I just turned my hand. And I said, really? I was blown away by that. Nobody had ever said that to me or mentioned that.
Because I would think on the breaking ball, the middle finger would rest on the seams, right?
Well, yeah, and that's why I was taught that you had to kind of hook a seam, and that's why people talk about the spike curveball. They kind of pull that finger in.
That's low. 2-2. A swing and a miss, strike three.
So this is I don't know if folks can see it, but that's essentially a four-seam fastball grip. So I always, my curveball was always something like this, or maybe you pull this finger out of the way to help give you some leverage when you pull down with the middle finger. Blyleven, he just said four-seam fastball, and then I just cock my wrist like this. You got a little finger pressure here. That finger's pulling on that seam. But I guess if you got a good enough grip, you could probably even throw it without having this kind of contact with the seam. Just, that kind of sharp over the top rotation. So, I learned that when I was probably 45 at the time, so it wasn't going to do me a heck of a lot of good.
10 years after your career ended.
Bert Blyleven taught me how to throw a curveball. Unfortunately, I couldn't reach home plate.
Look out as Contreras thinking about the runner at first, and almost clipped Cuthbert on the way through.
I would imagine before every series against the Cubs this year, coaches will be reminding base runners, don't take your eyes off Contreras. He is very active behind the plate. He's always looking to make plays, throw guys out.
A lot of strikeouts tonight. Anderson with a couple of them in the sixth. It's 2-0 Royals. Ian Kennedy working into the 6th has allowed 3 hits, no runs. Really good stuff tonight.
Yeah, command of the fastball, real good changeup, moving the ball up, down, in and out, all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. Had in a little bit of a jam last inning, pitched out of it with a punch out and a double play. Looks like he's ready to start the season.
And a strike on Brett Anderson, the pitcher. The double flapped helmet. Run, Brett, run! He's out.
Barely got him. Got more important things to do.
That's Whit Merrifield now playing third. To Whit. John Andrioli.
Yeah, with Anderson's health history, the last thing you want him doing is selling out, going down the first baseline in spring training.
We're back with you on CSN Chicago Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Central Time. Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds from Goodyear.
Man, that's a tough pitch. Hitter, you want no piece of this.
Fastball inside.
One away, one in. Andrioli, he's got good speed, stole 43 bases last year at AAA. Career minor league on base percentage of .374. He's got a little bit of power. Maybe developing more the way he's performed for Team Italy this spring.
See, Kennedy's been pretty efficient. 66 pitches now, and only in the 6th. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Celebrate the Chopping Block's 20th anniversary with cooking classes for all skill levels. They'll get you cooking. Visit thechoppingblock.com for more info.
Do you have good knife skills?
I would say I have 0. How about you?
Yeah, so good.
I've carved a turkey on Thanksgiving, but that's about it. Kennedy now with 7 strikeouts as he works to John Jay. That one got away from him. 3-0.
Ian Kennedy's running the risk of peaking too early here. You hate to look back at the end of the year and go, my best start of the year was in March.
Bryant would bat next. 3-1 on John Jay. A lot of strikes, a lot of quality strikes.
Yeah, he's not just pumping the ball over the heart of the plate. He's hitting spots, putting on a clinic.
Fourth 1-2-3 frame in the 6 innings he's worked tonight. 2-0 Kansas City as we there you see JD's upcoming work schedule the next 2 weeks. It's a rough life.
The prep work that goes in advance of those games, unbelievable.
Goodyear Wednesday night. We'll be in Las Vegas this coming weekend. We'll wrap up the Cactus League middle of next week and then off to Houston to end the exhibition portion of the schedule. 1-0 to Colon is off the outside corner. Anderson works quickly, as a lot of ground ball pitchers do. Topper to third. Foul.
Good read by Brian. He didn't have much of a choice, but he made the right one. Yeah, I would imagine fielders really enjoy playing behind Anderson. A lot of action, quick tempo, keeps you engaged.
Now, did they change any rules after the Lenny Randall rain delay footage that we now see every year, where that ball was hit down the line at the Kingdome and he got down on his hands and knees and tried to blow the ball foul? Would that be considered illegal now?
I believe it is.
It'd be fun to see a guy do it in spring training, though. Here comes Butera. I'm going to have to Google that play.
The Randall rule?
Well, I want to find out if Lenny was asked afterwards if that is something he had kind of contemplated or if it was a spur of the moment reaction. If he thought to himself, if I ever need to, I've got that in my back pocket. So now I'm being told that it was ruled illegal at the time. And he wasn't even allowed to do it then. Just shattered every memory I have of that play, thanks to Chris Kampka in our truck.
Now,
2 outs.
But, okay, so I've seen this play like 9 billion times. But wasn't it a fair ball and he ultimately had to pick it up anyway, or no?
I don't remember that part of it.
You just remember Lenny on his hands and knees
right.
Trying to blow out the candles there.
To steer it foul. I just love that, probably 100 years after the game of baseball had been invented, that he was probably the first human being to ever try that.
Pull a little broom out of your back pocket and sweep the dirt into a little mound to redirect the ball, like you're curling. Yeah.
2-0 on Burns.
No food up there.
Time to stretch in Mesa. 2-zip KC.
Welcome back, 2-0. Royals lead here. Bottom of the 7th is upon us. The Cubs are introducing a game-changing new premier experience at Wrigley Field with seats featuring prime views and access to an exclusive club. This experience to enjoy Cubs baseball in a whole new way. Visit CubsPremier.com to join the Premier Client Priority List. Joaquin Soria, the veteran right-hander, will follow up Ian Kennedy, who was dominant here tonight.
Soria in his second go-around with Kansas City made 70 appearances in his return to the Royals last year. Two-time All-Star in his first stint. So he was kind of the pre-Herrera, Davis, Holland guy.
Yeah. Whoop. The ball got away from him. Yeah, he debuted with them back in 07. A handful of years there. Then he moved on to Texas, Detroit. We saw him in Pittsburgh in 2015.
2-2 on Bryant. Well, a couple of weeks away from opening day, and while the Cubs are only going through the order the third time, we are in the 7th inning. A couple of weeks ago, starters would have been long gone. Swing and a miss. Changes for the Royals. Peter O'Brien is out in right. They don't have two right fielders, I don't think. Humberto Arteaga is at short. That moves Colon over to second.
Orlando's probably out there in center.
Okay, that makes sense. Royals over shift to the pull side on the infield against Rizzo. And it is another sellout tonight here at Sloan Park. 15,497, which might push the season average above 15. It was 14,959 going into the game tonight. It's really incredible. You know, the Cubs have only played 3 games all spring, attended by fewer than 10,000 fans, and they've all been on the road. And that's not the norm around baseball.
No, Cubs and Cub fans doing their part to boost the local economy here in the Valley. Do you have off the top of your head? Do you know what average spring training attendance is here and in Florida?
I do not. But I'm going to look it up. So if you look, the American League, among the American League teams, there are 2 clubs averaging 10,000 per. On the ground to first, Cuthbert's got it.
Yankees.
There are 4 in the National League. And a lot of the average looks to me like between 6,000 and 8,000 for most teams.
Now, are you going with the median or the mode or the mean?
If you can define all 3 correctly, I'll tell you.
The mean is you add them all up and divide by all the clubs, right? The median would be what falls in the middle. There's the low and the high. And then the mode would be the number that would appear most frequently, I believe.
All right, well, I still can't answer your question.
I can barely ask it. Hey, happy birthday to Matt Hudes. Matt, our good buddy, is celebrating a birthday actually a few days back, but a belated happy birthday to Matt. He's watching back in Virginia.
Swing and a miss. Soria goes 1, 2, 3. Modes, means, and medians. Think about it. 2-0 Royals.
Hello, I'm Dan.
legendary James Taylor returns to Wrigley Field on Monday, July 17th. He'll be there with special guest Bonnie Raitt. Don't miss your chance to see this Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. Tickets are available now at Cubs.com/James Taylor.
Eighth inning. 2-0 Kansas City. Humberto Arteaga takes ball one. Anderson's 1-0 is slapped into right. You mentioned March 19th and birthdays. Happy 40th to David Ross. And good luck to David on Dancing with the Stars. He's smiling for a reason. He had maybe just like the best year anyone could have ever had, ever. So happy 4-0. Happy 16 to my son Leo.
Hey, happy birthday, Leo.
Outside on Merrifield.
Yeah, you know, and we've had this conversation over the years now. I'm not a huge chemistry guy. I think it can be overrated, overplayed. We're talking about, its importance to a team and winning, but it matters. And boy, David Ross was such a big part of that for this team. He will be missed.
Yeah, it'll be a debate that will continue on for a long time, but it's hard to deny the positive effect David had on this club the last 2 years. In terms of the clubhouse leadership and just the energy. He had a really good offensive year last year. We've always known about his defense, but it was a kind of offensive season that made you think at the end of the year, are you sure you want to retire? Which is probably why he should have, right?
Well, especially when you win a World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better way to go out.
But the psychology is interesting, whether you're playing some mindless game on your iPhone or what have you. But David did not have a very good offensive year the year before, and I think he thought, okay, I can't end that way. So it's kind of like shooting hoops, and you go, I got to end on a make.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so then you miss 3 or 4 in a row, and then you make one, and you go, I got to make 2 in a row. So like there's this never-ending, finite. Okay, I'm done, and I do appreciate that he stuck to his guns and said, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
We won the World Series. I hit a home run in Game 7. I'm out.
I mean, with all the magical things that happened for him through the course of last season, I do wonder, had the Cubs come up short, if he would have changed his mind. He might not even know the answer to that.
Right. One and 2 on Orlando. Brett Anderson's been very good tonight.
Yeah, all the pitching has been good. Montgomery got touched up for a couple of runs, but he really threw the ball well. Struck out 5 in his 3 innings of work. Allowed a couple of hits, a couple of runs, had a walk. Carl Edwards Jr. had a 1-2-3 inning.
On the other side, Kennedy and Soria have combined so far on a 3-hit shutout. Sneaks that one past Russell and into left. So 2 on for Moss, the DH.
Valiant effort by Russell.
So I think I threw this out at you at one time last year. I don't know who we were playing, and it was kind of the, when you think of this team, you think of this guy as kind of the greatest, whatever the team was.
Like a word association.
Who's the second best? So when you think of the Royals, you think of who? George Brett.
George
right?
Brett.
If I asked you, according to Baseball Reference, George Brett is the all-time leader in wins above replacement. If I asked you who's number 2 on the list,
Buddy Biancalana.
No.
Is it a position player or a pitcher?
It is not.
It's a pitcher.
13 seasons as a Royal.
Dennis Leonard.
Good try by Russell, but the bases are loaded. Kevin Apier.
Apier. He was on my short list of upcoming guesses.
Here comes Joe, and that usually means pitching change.
Yeah, it's jogging Joe. Pitch count getting up there. Anderson been very sharp here tonight.
It's like Jim Henderson, a right-hander, coming on when we return.
Hey folks, own a piece of Cubs history as part of the Cubs' ongoing effort to restore and modernize Wrigley Field. Several sections of seats have been or will be removed. These seats are now available to purchase in sets of 2. Visit Cubs.com/seat sale, Sally, for more information. By the seashore.
Here's right-hander Jim Henderson. Was earlier with Team Canada in the WBC.
And earlier in his career, he was a Cub minor leaguer. Last year, he pitched for the New York Mets 44 times. A couple wins, couple losses, and a .437 ERA.
Anderson Miller is running for Moss at first.
He's not old enough to play in the big leagues.
And I believe this is Peter O'Brien. 6 home runs. He leads the Cactus League, and he takes a strike.
Hit 24 of them last year at AAA.
One and one. And Stockus with a homer in the first. And he hit a sac fly in the third. That's been it for the run scoring to this point. Bases loaded. 1 out. And fly to right, out of play.
Henderson had success at the big league level while pitching for the Brewers 2012, 13, and 14. 28 saves for Milwaukee in 2013.
The winningest manager in Kansas City Royals history. Regular season, a game under 500. Two and two.
See Contreras that time setting up way off the outside corner. We're trying to get Henderson to make sure he finishes that pitch. It's hard to buy a call from an umpire when you're that far off the plate. Yeah, it's what Ned's been there since 2010, right? Replaced Trey Hillman
mid-season.
Yeah. If you had asked me before the game how long has Ned Yost been managing the Royals, I would say 3 or 4 years.
7th full season in 2017. Former Brewers manager, longtime coach under Bobby Cox in Atlanta. Former big league catcher. Another ball hit out of play. Inside, it's full 3-2. Three singles in the inning, knocking Anderson out of the game. And another pop-up. Guessing a lot of the Cubs regulars will have tomorrow off, as the Cubs have an afternoon tilt against the Rockies. 1 o'clock local time here in Phoenix. That'll be in Scottsdale. Kyle Hendricks against lefty Tyler Anderson. And the Cubs are off completely on Tuesday. And he walked in a run. So 3-0 Kansas City. Bases still loaded.
Long arms, long legs. Henderson listed at 6'5", $190.
Two and 0. Cuthbert from Nicaragua. For 3 tonight. A couple of strikeouts and a flyout. It's Orlando at third, Miller at second, and O'Brien at first. I got it.
Heads up. Fire in the hole.
Almost right into our booth. Another full count. Guessing infield fly rule, and it is 2 outs. So we have all these fancy stats now, right? We have the ability to evaluate just about everything in a very specific manner. Shouldn't we get to the point where we are able to distribute runs charged to pitchers in situations like this a little bit more specifically? In other words, should Brett Anderson bear the entire brunt of that earned run, considering Henderson walked a guy to allow that run to score? Now, I'm saying Anderson probably deserves most of the run, but couldn't we devise some sort of formula to say 0.72 of the run is Brett Anderson's and 0.28 should go to Henderson?
When you say we, I hope you're not implying me as part of that.
No, I'm talking
baseball
math guys.
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah.
Base hit. 2 runs will score, and the throw will go to third, and it's late. 5-0 Kansas City.
Well, it's a bit of bad luck there from Jim Henderson's point of view. Alone will tell you, no, this is a good deal. But look at that, man. He's got 8 inches left after that swing, and he gets a base hit and drives in a couple with it. It's the second really soft hit in this inning.
fouled away.
Yeah, so weighted earned run, some kind of way to
well, I'm
weight
sure they already
there.
have it, but it needs to be more mainstream. Brian Pena, veteran switch hitting catcher. But yeah, the earned run, when you have multiple pitchers in an inning, it feels very rudimentary, doesn't it? The way we
It's not telling the whole story.
Calculate it. I think part of the thing in baseball is that the numbers we grew up with, batting average, the counting stats, they're simple. You can, in a lot of ways, calculate them yourself with just a calculator. But I'm kind of at the point where I almost don't care to know how they arrive at a certain number. I just want to know what that number is.
You want some context. You want that number to help explain the game a little bit.
Yep. Ground ball up the middle and a base hit. 6-0. So that run is the first run in the inning charged to Henderson. The first 3 were charged to Anderson.
Right. So you pick up your morning paper, or not to be a dinosaur. So you go online tomorrow and you look at box scores and you look at Anderson's line and go, man, he wasn't very good. And if you sat here and watched him pitch tonight, you'd say he was fine. He was good.
Yeah, so his line is 3 1/3, 3 runs. So his ERA tonight is almost 9. But you're right, we do have stats to account for a lot of these things, but when people look at an earned run average, particularly for a reliever, I wouldn't call it completely useless, but it might be closer to that than useful.
Yeah, it almost like if there's a statistic, a way to measure, I don't know what the parameters would be. The guy came in and got his job done 9 out of 11 times, or whatever. Because you're gonna have one really bad outing, and it'll take you 3 months to chip away at that ERA.
So they send all 9 to the plate, 4 in, and it's now 6-0 Royals late. Beautiful, epic, the greatest game of all time. CSN presents Rain Men, an hour-long documentary shining light on a championship 108 years in the making, with exclusive interviews featuring every high and every low. Rain Men, presented by Binny's Beverage Depot, premieres Monday, March 27th at 9:30, only on CSN. Left-hander Mike Minor.
The former Brave has had a nice spring for the Royals. He's not allowed an earned run. 8 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts.
Pena now catching. Brian O'Hearn is playing first. Line shot deep left. Gone! Wow, that got out in a major hurry for Russell. And the Cubs are on the board. That's number 5 for Addison.
We've seen him hit some high towering home runs. This is more of a line drive variety, a laser shot onto the berm.
Swinging strike on Contreras.
This lefty Minor looked very promising when he first came to the big leagues with the Braves. He's had a lot of arm problems over the last 2 or 3 years. Has not pitched in the big leagues since 2014.
One and 2 on Contreras. One got away from him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And he got him. Here comes Hayward for the 3rd time. The former Atlanta teammates, Minor and Hayward. Called strike. Happen to see Ryan Braun's comments the other day about the length of spring training?
I did, yes.
Talked about the fact that they're not getting paid by the hour.
Yeah.
He said, quote, from MLB.com, my favorite spring training at bat is a first pitch line out to center. Or even better, first pitch line drive double play. And the reporters thought he was kidding, and he said, I'm totally serious. 2 outs. So he thinks spring training's too long.
Yeah, I think it's too long, and he's being very analytical. He's not outcome based. He wants to hit the ball hard. If he's hitting the ball hard, then he knows his swing is where it needs to be, and his timing's where that needs to be.
Here's Taylor Davis in the pitcher spot.
Probably a lot of guys out there that agree with him, but they're not going to say it. I think maybe the more prudent way to put that, if you were Ryan Braun, would be, from my point of view, or for me personally, spring training's way too long. If as long as I'm hitting the ball hard, I'm good to go.
Yeah, we don't get paid by the hour usually doesn't come off particularly well. But
well, and actually, in reality, players don't get paid at all in spring training in terms of salary. They get paid a stipend. Unless they've negotiated in their contract that they get paid year-round, players generally get paid April through October, or till the end of the season. April till the end of the regular season.
Got some changes coming defensively in the top of the ninth, it appears.
Taylor Davis could easily become a fan favorite. It's a
Sandlot slugger.
Yeah, he got the no batting glove, got that big swing, kind of unorthodox, but he finds a way to get the barrel to the ball.
There you go. And Davis keeps the 8th alive.
That big old leg kick, and it looks like he's just drifting, falling towards the third base dugout. But he has the ability to keep his hands in and go out and get a pitch out away from him.
He's got the leg kick of a pitcher. Russell led off the inning with a home run. Davis with the 2-out single. Andreoli dunks it foul out of play. You mentioned your bracket being busted in the WBC. Hard not to like Puerto Rico. They haven't lost yet, right?
I believe that's correct.
The Cubs played Team Japan yesterday. And they'll play Team USA coming up in one of the semifinal brackets. Swing and a miss. Andreoli is out. Cubs done in the 8th. They get a run on the Russell homer. It's 6-1 Kansas City as we go to the 9th.
Welcome back. Top of the ninth. Royals lead 6-1. Clark, the official mascot of the Chicago Cubs, can be part of your next celebration. From birthday parties and corporate outings to wedding receptions and charity events, invite Clark. Visit Cubs.com/kids for more information on bringing Clark to your event.
David Rollins, left-hander, on here in the ninth.
5 appearances so far for Rollins this spring, and he has had success.
You know, the 5 appearances matches the number of waiver claims on him this offseason.
Yeah, he maybe not himself personally, but his contract was really on the move. 5 different times claimed off waivers. A little big league time with the Mariners in each of the last 2 seasons.
Carlos Corporans is catcher. Chris Dominguez at first. David Bodie at second. Carlos Penalver at short. Jamer Candelario is over third. Todd Glazman's in left. Ian Happ is in center, and Bijan Rademacher's in right. See if Dominguez has room over near the tarp. He's got it. Hey, congrats to the Chicago Blackhawks. They have clinched a postseason berth. They're in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the 9th consecutive season. It kind of feels like they want to run away with the division.
They've been on a pretty good roll here lately, have they not?
They have. Bounce back to the lefty Rollins. 2 outs. Here's Orlando.
Rollins was drafted in 2008, 2009, and 2010. Did not sign on any of those 3 occasions. And then after being drafted by the Blue Jays in 2011, he did sign. 2012, he was traded from the Blue Jays to the Astros, big multi-player deal. And then the Mariners selected him from the Astros after the 2014 season in the Rule 5 draft. He may set some kind of a record for transactions per appearance.
I was going to say, prospective agents might say to him, I'd like to be paid by the transaction. I suppose it is a little easier to handle when those waiver claims are made in an off season. A little trickier during a season. Called strike 3. Good work by Rollins tonight. Bottom of the ninth, 6-1 Royals. Wednesday night, the Cubs head to Goodyear Ballpark to take on the Cincinnati Ball Club, and the best place for spring training baseball is right here. Coverage starts at 8 o'clock on CSN, brought to you by Canals Auto Parts. Malcolm Culver is on here in the ninth inning. His team leading 6-1.
27-year-old right-hander makes his 8th appearance of the spring. And he's pitched to a 5.14 ERA. Last year, AAA Omaha, 4-5 with a 3.86.
Bijan Rademacher will lead it off. Good numbers in the minor leagues last season. Ian Happ is on deck. Haven't seen Eloy Jimenez for a few days, getting his right shoulder checked out. Had a real awkward throw here from left field that got away from him, and sounds like he should be all right. But, they did some tests on the shoulder, and I think the Cubs will get further word tomorrow. One ball, one strike. Ninth inning, 6-1 Kansas City. Off the outside corner, according to Brian Gorman.
Change up, floats off the outside edge.
Two on Rademacher. Here it is. And the count holding. Another one will get back out of play.
Bijan, a .283 hitter throughout his minor league career.
Three and two. See a story out of the Grapefruit League. Kevin Pillar, Blue Jays center fielder, played in two different minor league games on backfields. There was a AA game and a AAA game. He had 7 at bats. He tried to bunt his way on all 7 times. Ball 4.
So clearly he's working on that phase of his game.
He went 0 for 7. But yeah, that's what spring training is for. Big spring for Ian Happ. Sky high pop fly, and it is Orlando for out number 1. Jamer Candelario.
Number 7, Jamer Candelario.
Bats both ways, hitting left-handed against the righty Culver. Outside corner strike.
Who's the best bunt for a hit guy in the game today?
Wow. Is deep, and it's going to be caught in that well area by O'Brien. 2 outs. First blush answer was Billy Hamilton, but that's without really any thought whatsoever. Did you have somebody in mind?
No, that I guess that's why I posed the question, because it seemed like for a time there we kind of knew, but maybe I'm just kind of turning the clock back too far. I mean, you go way back to like Rod Cruz day, and I think more my era, Brett Butler, Kenny Lofton comes to mind. Just trying to think of an active player now. Carlos Gomez.
That's a good one. Yeah. D. Gordon would be another possibility. David Bodie bounces foul. Well, if Chris Camp can find the answer before this inning ends. One strike on Bodie. 2 outs, 9th inning. Line shot into the left field corner. Rademacher will be set. Here comes a throw to the plate, and he's safe. RBI double, David Bodie. It's 6-2.
I'm guessing if this is the regular season, Gary Jones throws up a stop sign, but it's an exhibition game, so he goes ahead with the aggressive send, and it pays off. It gets Bodie an RBI double here. Rademacher comes all the way around to score that run.
Chris Dominguez.
Ichiro. Good bunter, right?
Yep. Here's a 1-0 tapper foul. A ball and a strike on Dominguez. Cesar Hernandez of the Phillies led the majors with 15 bunt hits last year. According to Fangraphs. But your point is made. I guess we don't have a ton of guys who immediately come to mind. If that was your point. I think it was.
Yeah.
Orlando makes a catch. Any other points you'd like to make?
When we play the Phillies, I'm going to tell you, watch out for Hernandez. He can bunt.
So the Royals beat the Cubs tonight. 6-2 the final, but as we referenced earlier, there was some really good pitching in this game. Kennedy in particular for the Royals, but Montgomery, Edwards, Anderson for the Cubs.
Yeah, I thought Montgomery and Anderson, the two guys that are battling for this 5th starter spot. Both showed well here tonight. The numbers would tell you otherwise. When you look at Anderson's numbers tomorrow, you'll think, well, he didn't have that good of an outing, but I thought he was really sharp. And the same with Montgomery. His stuff looked really crisp in his outing here tonight.
Our director, Jim Angio, our producer, Michelle Godwin, Chris Kampka is our associate producer, Mark Harper is our tech manager, our executive producer, Jim Corno Jr. Great work by our entire crew. For JD, this is Len Casper. So long, everybody. You've been watching Cubs baseball on CSN Chicago.